6:30 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First off, we'll start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda, I'd like to get a motion to adopt the minutes of March 21st, 2024 meeting.
Move it. I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? You're abstaining?
Not here.
Okay, motion passed. Councilor Kudarakis abstained. First item on the agenda, I'd like to get a motion to open the public hearing for the 2024 CDBG plan and application.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
It's 6:30 p.m. Okay. Is there anybody in favor or opposed to the CDBG plan and application? Well, sorry, let me start that off. Mr. Yeager, would you like to give the presentation of the CDBG?
Sure, because I can't read that screen. I do need to pull it up on my computer though.
It's a couple pages long, so. Tina, did you have that? You had it up out front for the people who
Yeah,
want to look at it? Yes.
I can print out more if anybody wants to look at it, if anybody wants a copy.
You need a, no, you need to print it?
Oh, you got a printed one there?
Oh, I didn't know you didn't have an
Yeah, I didn't bring a
agenda.
paper one. Yeah, you got a paper one?
So you're an awkward silence, here you go. I'm sorry.
So, 5-year plan for community development. We have limited areas that we can apply for. Essentially, it is the southwest corner of the Radisson community. And everything in the industrial park and everything south of Town Center Road over to Drake's Landing. This year we are applying for the Billue Lane and Sumac Drive resurfacing of those roadways. They're in pretty poor shape right now. They have not been repaved since I've been involved with the town, so at least in the last 15 years. For 2025 season, or 2025 application, I recommended town office ADA access improvements and ADA bathroom upgrades. So we'd be putting in automatic door openers at the west end of the building and at this door here for ADA compliance, and updating the bathroom off of the rotunda to make those bathrooms ADA compliant. For 2026, I put repaving the office parking lot here and reconfiguring the ADA ramps in front of the main entrance in the middle of the building. For 2027, I put some drainage improvements for the Valley View neighborhood, which is on the north side of 31, but it's outside of Radisson. It's just before you get to the Trooper Barracks.
Just past it. Right.
Yep. And for year 5, I put Willow Parkway storm sewer slip lining, and there's always a need for culvert work in that area. If anybody's got any questions, by all means. Otherwise, hopefully we can approve this and send it over to the county and get funded for Billue Lane and Sumac Drive resurfacing this year.
Is there any, now we'll go to the public comment part. Are there any residents opposed or in favor or would like to make a comment regarding the CDBG and the 5-year plan?
I just had a quick question.
Could you come up to the microphone, please, and just state your name and if you choose?
Ed Schmidt, Hayes Road. Just a real quick question. Didn't we do the Willett Parkway slip lining last year?
We funded a portion of it.
Oh, okay, so.
Yeah,
just more of it.
that part took us from
That's
31.
31 to not all the way to West Entry, where the, it's a daycare there, not Little Luke's, to where, it got us to basically where the
Just
daycare
past
is.
Radisson Health Center.
Yeah, just past the Radisson Health Center, it got us to.
That
Yeah.
was it?
Is there anyone else in favor or opposed comment regarding the CDBG 5-year plan? Does the board have any comments? Okay. Thank you, Al. I think it's an excellent presentation. Hopefully we applied to the county for this, and then, we'll see if they approve us for getting the grant and the award. And we have a matching part that we put up for it if we do get approved. And the county gives us the remaining funds. So, hearing no other comments, I'd like to get a motion to close the public hearing for the CDBG plan at 6:35.
I'll move it. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That public hearing is closed. Okay, I'd like to get a motion for the next public hearing regarding stop sign installations, 2 of them on Quaker Lady Circle.
Move that. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
We'll open the public hearing at 6:36 PM. Mr. Yeager, would you like to?
Sure. So Quaker Lady Circle intersects with Briar Patch. They're 2 T intersections. There is a driveway that actually comes almost right into the intersection. There's been some complaints about people coming off of Quaker Lady Circle onto Briar Patch and not stopping and near collisions. It's a pretty dense neighborhood. It
What
certainly
neighborhood,
warrants.
Al?
What's that?
Radisson?
Radisson, yeah, it's in Radisson. It certainly warrants having stop signs there. Not sure why it was never required when the development was built, but
I don't have any.
There's not any on Briar Patch either.
that's what we want to do. Briar Patch entering, so stop on Briar Patch, or stop on Quaker Lady.
Right.
Briar Patch will be a through, won't have to stop. So it's just on Quaker Lady entering Briar Patch, we'll have to
Quaker
stop.
Lady's like a
So
crescent.
horseshoe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it comes out, so when you see that there's 2 stop signs, it's really a stop sign at each end of Quaker Lady, because right now there's
Nothing.
No,
Yeah, there's
just
no,
got
no traffic
overload.
control at the intersection.
you know. Does the board have any comments? I mean, this is just something we normally do. I don't have any issues with regards with it. We've had neighbor complaints, and it does need some kind of traffic control. Does the public have any comments opposed, in favor of stop sign installation on Quaker Lady Circle? Mr. Birch, please come up to the microphone.
Fred Burge, Plainville Road. So you've had some town citizens approach you and say they have concerns of public safety in that area?
Of the stop signs.
Yeah.
Installing traffic
Okay.
control for people to not
I
be
can see
pulling out of their
that.
driveways.
I can see that. Geez, I've approached this board numerous times about public safety and speeding on Plainville Road. And just recently, I've had some neighbors tell me, hey, Fred, don't you have anything better to do? Thank you for your time. Does the town have anything better to do than stop signs?
Well, we have to work on the problems at hand, and in your specific thing that has nothing to do with this, we have to go through the county and the state for speeding. And then, because we don't have our own police control, we can't just put a person out there. I've understood your situation.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Are there any other comments regarding the Quaker Lady Circle stop sign? Seeing none, could I get a motion to close the public hearing at 6:39?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. Next on the agenda, we have citizens' comments. Before we get to citizens' comments, I would just like to let everybody know, there is one motion that I forgot to add to the agenda, It'll be motion O, and it will be to authorize the town supervisor to sign an the intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Phoenix for building inspector services for a specific project in the Village of Phoenix. The reason we are being asked to do that because there's some conflicts of interest and with ownership responsibilities and duties with the building permits, there's no one in that county that can help. So we're offering our services of code inspection to them for this specific project. And if we'll have a discussion at the thing, or if you'd like to come up with this, some comments and ask more, you're more than welcome to. Are there any citizens' comments tonight?
Fred Birch, Plainville Road, a couple of things. First thing is, I'd like to thank the hundreds of Lysander constituents that invited me in their home and signed my petition over the last 3 weeks. I certainly appreciate that. And then the second thing, recently in the news, Niagara Falls, the city of Buffalo, the city of Syracuse, the city of Oswego have declared state of emergencies for next Monday. I'd like to know what, if any, unneeded steps the town of Lysander is taking to manage 2 minutes of darkness next Monday. We're not mobilizing the National Guard. We're not getting all the police into the state police. We're not mobilizing the EMS and making water available at town hall. It's just a eclipse, right? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The park will be open if there's enough parking, and I'm not sure if 100 people will show up or nobody will show up. You can come out here and watch it from the parking lot if you choose, if you don't think you have a view in your area. So, but no, we have no plans in that regard.
I appreciate that too, thank you.
Is there anybody else, any other citizens like to make a comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to town board comments. Start with you, Councilor Kudrakis.
Just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It's nice to see Mr. Lee, our hardest working employee, town employee, out in the audience. Thank you for all that you do in the town park. Other than that, I'll stick to the agenda.
Councilor Jurasik.
I will stick to the agenda tonight, thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out as well, for watching on PAC 98, and I too will stick to the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Supervisors' comments? I'll keep them brief. We've got a pretty big agenda tonight. First thing I'd like to point out, and the clerk may point this out also, we're doing Recruit New York for fire department volunteer recruitment on April 13th. It's a Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. this year. It's right here at Lysander Town Hall. The 6 or 7 districts in the area will be setting up apparatus. They will have personnel here from the departments. Bring the kids down if you're interested in volunteering or have time. Stop and see. A lot of them will take any kind of volunteering. It doesn't necessarily have to be fire service. Some of them need assistance with clerical work and other duties that are in the department. They have auxiliaries and they do various fundraisers. They'd love to see it and they love to have volunteers. I have that, and I don't have anything else tonight. So we'll move on to the department head reports. Mr. Rivazzi. Mr. Merrill.
Saturday, we're hosting Cornell Cooperative Extension for a tree pruning workshop. They have approximately 10 volunteers that'll be at the park learning from Cornell how to properly prune trees, and in turn pruning some of our trees. All small trees. They'll actually be doing the trees along the driveway. So we've got a variety of programs that are open for registration now. Information for those are on Facebook, on our website. They're posted outside the department. They'll be posted at the park. probably sometime by the end of this week or early next week. And any questions or information that's desired regarding the programs, they can always call the department. And in addition to that, we've had reservations open for pavilions and community rooms since January 1st. That's going pretty well. If anybody's, we still have some availability, so that's still open.
When do you actually allow reservations for the rooms or for the pavilions?
When we open it up,
Yeah.
we start January 1st with
Oh, but I
reservations.
mean, like, the
Go
actual open the,
Oh,
like, for
mid-May,
or?
mid-May.
Okay. Just so people know
Yeah.
if they have something in April or, you know, when, because we have to turn the water on. You can't do that this time of year, so. Is that all?
That's it.
Thank you. Highway Supervisor, Mr. Sweeting.
Yep, I would just like to thank the board for looking at the pavement management plan and voting on that. It's nice to have no snow and none in the forecast, so we're eager to get going, and other than that, I'll stick to your agenda.
Just keep feet away from the shovel.
Maybe it's good.
Thank you. Town Engineer, Mr. Yeager.
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. Town Clerk, Ms. Falco.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention the Recruit New York weekend as well, a 13th at Town of Lysander, and some of the fire departments are also having open houses the next day at their respective fire departments. I know that Seneca River is, so there are probably others as well. And also I wanted to thank Ken and his crew for keeping the parking lots and sidewalks salted and cleaned all winter long. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
And the one thing I forgot to mention is the website. We've
Oh, yeah.
changed over,
Yeah.
and we've got the new website up. If you know, we did our best of transferring everything, so if you see something that might not be up there, or, oh, hey, could you add this? It's a work in progress, so please reach out to us, give us a phone call, shoot us an email, and we'll try to take care of it.
I'm working on the calendar now.
Right.
So there's still some things that we're
Yeah,
we're
and
working
if you
on.
find something that a link doesn't work, please let us
Oh,
know.
yeah, for sure.
Because we tried to transfer everything, but things get missed, so.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yep, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our regular agenda items. Hey, I'd like to get a motion to approve the Town of Lysander Community Development Block Grant 5-year Capital Improvement Plan dated April 4th, 2024.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Anybody have anything, or?
I already did it.
Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carried. Motion B, I'd like to get a motion to approve the 2024 Town of Lysander Community Development Block Grant application for the resurfacing of Billieu Lane and Sumac Drive.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Discussion? As we had already talked about it in the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carried. Motion C, I'd like to get a motion to adopt a local law amending Town Code Section 295-47 for the installation of 2 stop signs on Quaker Lady Circle.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Ken, do you have to order the stop signs, or do you already have?
Nope, we have that in stock. We go through a dig save process, so we call a company that comes in, they mark the cable, the gas, the water, and all that, and it's usually a 3-day process, and then when they're done, we're good to go.
So by next week, hopefully.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None, seeing none, motion carried. Motion D, I'd like to get a motion to authorize the town board to sign the 2024 road maintenance 584 form, allowing the highway superintendent to expend the road maintenance and construction funds included in the 2024 budget.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
So I'll just add one note. The Only thing that changed from when you saw this 2 weeks ago is we added Potter Road and we dropped off Billieu and Sumac. And the reason for that is the work included in this contract has to be completed by the end of July. The award letters for community development don't come out until the beginning of August. So what we intend to do is add Billieu and Sumac in at the end of the season, once we get the grant money and our state funding award letter. So that's the only change from what you saw 2 weeks ago.
I don't know if Dina printed, did you have them with the attachments?
It's up there. Yeah, I gave everybody one. There's one, it should be on, under agenda items.
Oh, I don't have it on the web, oh, wait.
Under
I got two.
media.
If you're looking for the differences, I have them right here.
It is on there though, under media, under
Well,
town
I'd
board.
have to be able to read that far.
Oh.
I'd be winging it from here.
Oh my god, that is very blurry
So
from here.
just
It's
like-
probably the first one.
Just like Al said, Billieu and Sumac were taken off.
And Potter was put on.
And Potter was put on. It's a difference of about $4,000 because of CDBG.
Yeah, we wanted to, we can't expend the CDBG funds until we get the award letter, so we didn't want to include this in the base contract.
Do you want
That's
that?
hot mix, baby.
Do you want this?
No, I have, I just didn't have it.
It's up, it's also up there up front.
Yeah, I didn't have it in my packet, but I've looked it over, so. Are you good with it? Oh, okay. Everybody else good with it? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? Motion carried. I would like to get a motion to authorize town supervisor to sign the USDA invasive species combined property access request 2024.
I'll move that. I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion. We were contacted by the USDA. This is a study to see how far certain invasive species of insects have come that I think Mr. Yeager probably has a little more information on.
Yeah, cherry, there's a cherry fruit fly is, will decimate the cherry crop if it's, you know, I guess it migrates to this area. And a boxwood moth or dogwood moth that eats the leaves on dogwoods and boxwood trees that they're monitoring for.
So what the USDA does, they reach out to the towns and municipalities to be able to put the boxes on the side of the road, similar to what you saw for the ash borer and things like that. So it authorizes them to go on town properties or right of ways to install these monitoring devices. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions or, okay? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. Motion F. I'd like to get a motion to authorize the town supervisor to sign the intermunicipal agreement that will allow the county of Onondaga to continue to provide services to municipalities in complying with the Department of Environmental Conservation stormwater requirements.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Discussion. We sign this, Mr. Yeager, we sign this usually every 4 or 5 years with the county, part of our MS4 plan for.
Illicit discharge detection and elimination.
Well, there you go. It's part of being in the MS4 county coalition.
Correct.
So, makes it so we don't have to monitor our own waste catch basins.
Yeah, they actually inspect our outfalls for us, which is a requirement of MS4, and they run a stormwater hotline, so if somebody sees something, you know, that shouldn't be in a storm drain or being dumped into a storm drain, they can call the hotline and the county will come out and investigate and help us track down where the illicit discharge is coming from.
Okay? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I'd like to get a motion to authorize the town supervisor to sign the aqua permits for the installation of 4 hydrants in Pampo Woods, Section 1.
I'll second it.
Discussion? This again is just a normal boilerplate item when people are installing, developers are installing hydrants and,
Yeah, because there's a fee for the maintenance of hydrants that Aqua charges the districts. So this is approving the fee for the Aqua to maintain new hydrants.
okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Motion carried. I'd like to get a motion to set the punch list security for the River Grove Phase 2C at $11,000 as recommended in the town engineer's letter dated 4/3/2024.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Discussion? This is just a normal thing, development, project fees, changing as the project moves along. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, motion carried. I'd like to get a motion to set the maintenance security requirements for River Grove Phase 2C at $10,798 as recommended per the town, in the town engineer's letter dated 4/3/2024. Don't all jump at once. Jeff, you do.
I'll move it.
Okay.
I was working on it, just
I'll
seconding it.
second I know you were.
Counselor Moore, did you second it?
I did.
Okay. Discussion, again, this is just another part of the development, security requirements.
Should I make some coffee or?
Please.
I got everybody sick, I'll just admit this, it was my fault. So, here we are, I'm coming over the other side, they'll get there. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion, all in favor, yes, none opposed, motion carried. I'd like to get a motion to reduce the punch list security requirement for River Grove Phase 2B to $3,500 as recommended in the town engineer's letter dated 4/3/2024.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Same as before, this is just normal stuff as you get through development. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried, or none opposed, motion carried. I'd like to get a motion to accept the dedication of the storm sewer included in the River Grove Phase 2C development and accept the security currently in place for River Grove Phase 2B for the River Grove Phase 2C development.
I'll move that.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion.
So let me give you a little background on this. We currently are holding a letter of credit, and as you see from the previous resolution, that letter of credit was for $27,000. We're reducing that requirement to $3,500. We're still going to hold the letter of credit, but that letter of credit will now be applied to Section 2C, punch list and maintenance security.
Any other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carried. Okay, here we go. Motion L. I'd like to get a motion to authorize the Lysander Codes Enforcement Office, I would assume officer, to modify the Town of Lysander building permit application form to require a site plan in accordance with the Town of Lysander Code, Section 122-4.D.5.H, which states the following. Include a site plan drawn to scale, drawn in accordance with an accurate boundary survey, showing the size and location of new construction and existing structures and appurtenances on the site, distances from lot lines, the established street grades and the proposed finished grades, and, as applicable, flood hazard areas, floodways, and design flood elevations that is prepared by a licensed professional for construction of all new homes on lots of 40,000 square feet or less.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion. Mr. Yeager, I know this has been a topic in our processes of the planning board and codes enforcement and building permits for quite a while.
So it is part of our code. It is a requirement. We've always had issues because we don't require this where water's not getting to the drainage easements. We have driveways that are on, like, with a catch basin right in the middle of them. We have driveways that end up with sewer lateral vent trap and cleanouts right in the middle of them.
Grading,
Grading.
driveway grading.
Driveway grades greater than 10%, which are a hazard. Just a multitude of things that we can, problems that we can avoid for existing residents and future residents by doing this additional step in the building permit process. With that being said, you notice I only put this for new homes on lots 40,000 square feet or less. This would apply to essentially our major subdivisions, which the planning board already requires a grading plan for all major subdivisions when they are approved. So really all the applicant needs to do is take the design drawings and put the grades from the design drawings and where the sewer laterals are and the water services and the catch basins, and show it on the plot plan that they already are submitting for the new home. And it'll allow the code enforcement officer to review that and make sure that what is proposed is going to work, and the grades on the driveways aren't gonna be too steep, and water's gonna get into the drainage easements and drain out into the road where it's supposed to. And hopefully will allow us to cut down on the number of things we have to go back on a few years later because water's not going where it's supposed to go.
And driveways don't end up at an intersection
Yes,
at a 45-degree angle,
yes,
wondering who has the right of way, or
Yes.
backing out of your driveway, getting hit by somebody driving on the road.
correct.
Because you're not in a great situation, so. Does the town board or anyone, and so the other part of this, the actual helping with the work, assisting.
If Tim needs help, we're here for him. Send it over, we'll review it. These are a 10-minute review. This is not it is not a huge time-consuming process to review this.
So this is not to hinder any builder from developing any parcel at all? This is
Not at all.
already in the
We're-
code as it is, it's just to see it up front and make sure that it's.
Trying to prevent problems after the fact.
And this is our building permit application.
Correct.
So we would work this in,
Just add a line
To that.
It's just, this is what you need to do if you're building a new home. And
and
we're
this
not,
is a
technically
normal
by our
thing.
town code, we would, if somebody's building a deck, we would have to have them do this. I don't think that's necessary. If somebody's building a new house, this is an easy step. Really, the only new homes that we have constructed now on lots 40,000 square feet or less are our major subdivisions. Those major subdivisions all have grading plans that are approved by the planning board. All this is requiring the developer to do is take the design drawing and put it on the plot plan for the house that they're already producing. It's not a costly endeavor, and hopefully it saves us some aggravation in the future.
And this is something other towns already do.
This is something other towns are required to do. This is a state mandated part of the building permit process.
Are you interested in feedback from our trade association?
Well, I know you're a builder and you represent the trade, so I will, normally we have comments at the beginning. I know you came late, so.
I actually thought your meeting started at 7 because I was on your website. I don't know if you changed the calendar time on your website or.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll allow you to talk. Just come up to the microphone, so.
My name is Dan Barnaba, I'm president of Elton Homes. I'm a member of the local trade association, Home Builders and Remodelers of Central New York. I'm also the treasurer of the New York State Home Builders Association. I've been building homes in Lysander now for probably about 20 years. My father did before that, and it's been a great experience. We've actually had a wonderful relationship with your code enforcement officer, with your town engineer, with the boards that I've had to get approvals from. And I believe we've developed, along with other builders in our trade associations, some very nice communities. And some of the things that Al has mentioned, I think are
good aspirations. I don't think it's a bad idea. I didn't know that there were this many problems out there in the process. I think that Al's giving you examples of many exceptions. Most of the time, the process of building our homes goes out without a hitch. One thing I'll say is, as a courtesy, we appreciate it when the towns, if you're going to make a change to your process, if you give us a heads up, because I think there'd be more builders here. On several occasions, I've shown up in a January meeting at the town of Lysander to see that my building permit fees are going up, or my subdivision fees are going up. And it's as simple as, if you're going to do something that's going to affect our trade and our industry, just a heads up so we can gather ourselves and either support what you're asking us to do or to give you the reasons why we don't support it. And I think this is a good example. I don't know how this process started. I just caught wind of it today because I happened to come to the town hall. Somebody shared something with me. I said, oh, that seems interesting. I'll hear what the board has to say about it. And I don't know why there's a big hurry. If you adjourned it and let us come back to you with some feedback. I can say that as a developer, Al's right. I have to get a subdivision plan approved, and on that plan is a grading plan. And the grading plan is going to identify things like stormwater paths through swales, through overland flood routes. Those things can't be disturbed. At times I have to sell these building lots to other builders. Builders come in with an application for a building permit, they build a house, and then without regard to the grading plan, they fill up swales, they fill up floodways, and they grade it inappropriately. I come to Al a few years later, I'd say, my security's released. He says, Dan, your swales are messed up, your overland flood routes are messed up, and I say, what did I do? All I did is sold a lot to a builder. He applied for a building permit, and at that point, it was out of my hands. So I definitely believe some oversight is in order, particularly when it comes to your swales and your overland flood routes. Some issues are a little more challenging. I can't say that we've never built a house without a catch basin at the bottom of the driveway, or a stormwater inlet, or a manhole. I don't think that those create the types of problems that necessitate the kind of oversight Al is suggesting. If a manhole is at the wrong grade, we raise the elevation of the manhole, or we raise the rim, or we modify the driveway. Most of these things are solved directly between the builder and the consumer. All that being said, if the oversight's required, I think we only ask that it's handled quickly. This town has developed a great reputation of supporting our trade, and I think what's come of it, it's become one of the nicest towns to build homes in. And your community has grown, and we get a lot of cooperation from the building department. We file for a building permit. Within a day or two, we can usually start the construction of the house. I'd hate to see that change. There are some occasions where I'm not sure what you would do if you start construction on the house and you have the thing half built and you get out there and you see a problem. It's not going to be fixed by taking down the house. So sometimes you just got to find creative ways to work around these things. And I think between your code enforcement officer, your engineer, and what the builders are willing to do and work with their customers, I think most of these problems are handled without such critical oversight. I can't say that I am for or against what Al's proposing. I just wish we would have a little bit more time to consider it from the perspective of our trade association and perhaps half a dozen other builders that have come to really rely on building in your town.
Right. And I understand your view and perspective, but I'm also a person who lives in Radisson, and because of being an elected official, I get to walk our streets. And while it might be great when the house is first built, 35 years later, with that catch basin being in the middle of somebody's driveway, that catch basin's falling in. When the catch basin's 70 feet away, is fine because it's not in the travel path, because a plow's not taking it out every 30 times a year. And there's one of the issues. I have a relative that has a driveway like this, that her van ended up in the road a few years back in the ice. So some of these grading issues, if somebody doesn't identify a floodplain, starts building a house, we have an issue. This would rectify those situations. While I understand it's one more hurdle on a 6-month process and materials and building, I also think it's it's an overcomable, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but it can be overcome for a builder to be able to build a house in the town of Lysander. And if other towns have these plans and these rules, I've been a proponent of this when I've sat out there in the audience. I personally think every road should be built to town spec. So when someone decides after 20 years they don't like living on a private road, that we have something that we know is built appropriately and we can do something for those people. But the board decides as a whole, that's my opinion. So maybe I see all the exceptions, but I also get all the calls about the issues. So that's where I'm coming from on this, and this is something I've looked at for 2 or 3 years, and ultimately, it's one more checkbox on that application. And it's something where we can finally control or tell somebody, hey, you know, you bought 7 acres and you're not gonna be able to get that 19th lot. You might have to settle for 18. And if a developer decides not to build, then we still have woods and forest and nothing changed. So, I mean, putting this there, and all builders know when they come to build a development or build houses, while it might be one more hurdle, I don't think it's the end of the world. But I'm one of 4 up here on the board. So I'm wholeheartedly in agreement with this.
So Dan, I'll say that from a speed standpoint, this won't slow you down. We'll make sure we process permits just like we always have. You know, we're good about that.
I appreciate that. It's collaboration going to change.
But I also understand your communication.
My perspective's a little different than yours. I've got a 44-year relationship with Radisson. And now in the life of Radisson, you're at hour 11, minute 58. There's about 15 houses left to be built. You've got about 3,500 residents there. It's a model community in Onondaga County. If those are the only problems and concerns you can come up with after all that, well done. If the government oversight needs to step in at the last minute because of something like that, how did we survive without it for 40 years?
But this
It's been fine. And I understand you're looking at other areas outside of Radisson as well, but just saying that, listen, I'm in favor of less oversight, not more oversight. And I am in favor of the 19th or the 20th lot on my property, because that's what's going to take to hit our housing crisis. And I don't know if town officials quite understand the profit and the viability of a project if we have 1 more lot or 2 more lots. We're always fighting for that. All it really means is 1 more resident gets to move in your town and we can have 1 more housing unit and 1 more family in that neighborhood. What's wrong with that?
So Dan, all those, I mean, you know, the lots, the number of lots is settled with the planning board issue, so that maybe that wasn't stated correctly.
I understand.
So this is not gonna cause you this.
Most of these problems are handled at the design stage. You can look at the layout, you can say where your sewer lateral is gonna be, where your catch basin is gonna be. You can even insist that the driveways are shown on the subdivision plans. Some towns put mandatory curb cuts in. They say that's where your curb cut's gonna be. So a lot of this stuff can be done at the design stage, not at the code enforcement stage. I'm not sitting here advocating one way or another. I think it's a good aspiration. I just ask that you don't necessarily vote tonight and you let a few more people weigh in on this so we can let you know how we'd like to see it go.
We've been talking about this for, over 3 years now. You know, we've had discussions about this, so, you know, we haven't seen a lot of builders before when we had discussions on this. You're the first time that we've seen a builder come in here.
These discussions, I mean, did I miss a letter or an email?
Well, no, that's,
Nobody's reached out to me.
I don't have to reach out to you.
Nobody said anything to me.
Yeah, I don't have to reach out to you. It's all.
I absolutely know that you don't.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
just saying it would be nice if you did. Is there anything
No, and
wrong
I
with reaching out to the builders and saying, hey, we're thinking of enforcing a provision in the code that we haven't been enforcing, so we'd like to get your feedback.
We should have been enforcing it.
but there's
That's
the
the
thing
issue, too, is we
It's
should have been
already in the
enforcing it.
code. We haven't been enforcing it. Now as a board, we're memorializing the enforcement of what's in our code, AKA law. So I understand your concern, but I feel that this is the best, but there's 4 of us here and.
Again, I don't see the problem. You dealt with it this long. What's wrong with putting it off 1 more vote or 2 more votes? And as far as enforcement in the code, listen, I'd love to continue to drive 75 miles down the thruway. If they pull me over at 66 miles an hour, I'm still gonna get pretty aggravated. So I know what's in the code, and I know the way enforcement works, and we're just asking for a little cooperation. I doubt very much Mr. Alberici knows what's going on today. I doubt very much Ron and Scott Merle know what's going on today. And it would be nice if you just got our feedback on those things.
So
I wasn't aware that you had this before you first line.
No,
So I-
we've set off, we've set aside work session meetings where we've specifically discussed this. I think it was in December. We had this discussion and it pretty much ended because we weren't sure if we'd have to go a local law process. But looking at it and conferring with the attorney, it's part of the permit process. And that's what we've chosen to do. Now, on my end as town supervisor, I will take your information and I'll reach out to the builders and your associations and inform them. But as for talking to every personal builder that comes through the town that someone sells a lot to, that is not our responsibility. No different than if you build a shed. You call the codes office, you find out what it needs to build. What you need to do in the town of Lysander to build a shed or to build a pole barn. A house is no different. And here's the things I'm supposed to do. And I understand.
I've been,
Cousin who built
I
houses
run
for
into
30
Mr.
years.
Kudaraskis maybe once or twice a year. I don't expect him to see me. I talk to Mr. Yeager probably a dozen times a year. Could have brought it up. I've walked into this code enforcement office 40 or 50 times a year. Somebody could have brought it up. They could have said, hey, we're dealing with something I think you should know about. It's the first time hearing about it.
So I've worked with, since I've been up here, I've worked with 3 different highway superintendents. And it comes up, from this position, it comes up all the time. All the time as far as catch basins and driveways and design and houses going up. So for me, I've seen it going on for quite a while. And as far as enforcing the code we have on the books, I don't have a problem with enforcing the codes that we have on the books. If that's what we're doing, then
Do you honestly think that you're enforcing all the codes on your books? Al, you and I had a conversation about lot coverage area. We know that's not getting
Does
enforced.
that mean we shouldn't?
Okay.
Should we
It's
not
good to
enforce the
give us
ones
a
we get?
heads up that when the enforcement policies are gonna change. When the things that we should keep an eye on are gonna change.
Tonight might be that night. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we have had discussions, like I said, since I've been here.
Hey, Dan.
3 different highway superintendents have had issues. So we're trying to fix those issues. That's what we're trying to do.
How about if the board says, hey, we'll give you, well, this will be implemented in 30 days from now, so that you got a little bit of time. So if you got a building permit that you're ready to submit, go ahead and submit it. But for projects, this is going to be added starting, what day is today? This is 4th? Yeah, so this policy will be effective May 4th.
We could put a date on it.
30, 60 days. Listen, the last thing we want to do is inconvenience you that much, right?
It's not the building permit. Part of your agenda tonight was to address one of my neighborhoods where I'm gonna put 12 lots on. Now I gotta run over there and take a very close look. What if I get a catch basin that's falls right dead in the middle of where a lot driveway might go? Some of these things might be, I hate to render any of the lots not buildable.
Yeah, I know.
And you know as well
I
as I do,
mean,
Dean.
I would also expect our codes to take some of that into account.
Well, the problem
There's gotta
is
be
the plot plan
consideration.
that we get doesn't show those apparatuses, such as curb stops for water, sewer vent trap and clean out assemblies. It doesn't show where those laterals are. It doesn't show where the catch basins are. And if you don't have a finished floor elevation that's shown on the plan, which most of the plans that we get don't have a finished floor on the elevation, and you don't know what the grade is at the street you're supposed to be at the property corners, well, how do you determine that if the builder's setting the finished floor at the right elevation and it's gonna meet the 10% grade requirement? And just like Kevin said, we got a bunch of driveways that have been constructed recently that if you went out there with a laser level and shot the grade at the street and shot the grade at the finished floor of the garage, the driveways are over 10%. And there's a reason that there's a 10% slope maximum on the driveways. It's one, so people don't slip and fall as easily. 2, so vehicles don't slide out on the road, which we've had a bunch of them happen recently. And 3, so that when, you know, there's not a hazard in the roadway because of stuff sliding out of the driveway. So we've had this problem. This is, we feel, is a tool that'll allow us to address that problem so that it doesn't continue. And we don't have any other way of doing it other than making this stuff required on a plot plan for a building permit. We just don't. We don't have any way of enforcing what's on our code unless we get this drawing. That's the bottom line. And there's reasons for these things being in our code, and you know them as well as I do, Dan. And we're always fair to you guys. We work with you. We'll come up with creative solutions. We'll find a way. We always do. We're just trying to cut some of the stuff off at the pass so that we're not scratching our heads afterwards and saying, well, the driveway's at 10% or 13%, and it's got a manhole in it, and this guy's got a 4 or 5 inch divot across the manhole that he's driving into every time, that's pounding on the manhole every time a car goes over it, and breaking up the mortar and allowing water to get into the manhole. There's just things that we're trying to avoid that without getting this information on a drawing we can't avoid. Because Tim doesn't know where they all are. Tim isn't going out and measuring from where the property stake is, which most of the time there isn't one, down to where the driveway is going to be and looking at it. This is a way to solve those issues, Dan. And we have no problem, if you want us to delay it 30 days, 60 days, okay. But it really has become an issue recently.
It just sounds like it's part of a greater conversation. Just putting a structure on a plan isn't necessarily gonna help you solve the problem. The bigger question is, okay, we got this structure on the plan, we have this house that we're about to put under construction, we see that manhole might be in the way, what are our alternatives?
Exactly. Let's find a creative solution. Can we mirror the house and put the driveway on the other side of the lot? What are our options?
Flip the house around.
We're not looking to stop you.
We're not trying to take lots away from any developer by any means. That's not our goal at all.
We're just trying to plan, and we do a good job at the planning board level, as you know, but that information that's on the planning board plans that's approved is not necessarily making it into the design drawings for each house. And it's causing us issues. It really
I'm not
is.
aware, in any of our subdivisions?
No.
You're not the problem,
No,
Dan.
you're not the problem.
You're not the problem, Dan, okay?
You built a nice house. I own one.
Appreciate the compliment. Believe it or not, I take more pride in my neighborhoods than I do the houses, because I feel like that's what we leave behind when we drive through and hope there's no
You're not the
issues.
problem, Dan. Okay, so you know we're not attacking you. You're not the problem.
You're not the issue.
We have had a lot of issues in the past few years. And it's an
You know,
ongoing thing.
Some of these work sessions, you'd be surprised some of the ideas that some of us get from other markets and things that if you really want to enforce change, the way you handle it. Charlotte, North Carolina, your building permit fee is directly related to your pass-fail rate on your inspections. So the worse you do, the higher you pay for a building permit, because you're going to put more burden on the code enforcement office. You can do the same thing with your builders. If a builder is giving you problems with structures in their houses, you can make them bond for a building permit, and they can't, their bond doesn't get released until the project meets the satisfactory requirements. You make developers bond. I don't want my bond money held hostage because of what some builders do, when it can be cut off by code enforcement. So there's a lot of things you can do to keep people in the right way.
And this is a very inexpensive way for us to try to cut some of these problems down. This is not, you know as well as I do, this stuff is already in the design plan, but it's not getting conveyed into the drawing plans for each house. And it's really a simple process to do that. Your design engineer shares the file with the surveyor that's doing the plot plan, and the surveyor puts that information on the plot plan. It's really simple. It is not this is literally a 10-minute exercise in CAD to attach that drawing and press print.
We specialize in building on some pretty narrow lots.
You do.
And so the water boxes and the sewers are definitely a challenge. But
It is, but it's you know as well as I do. You do a very good job of that. I think I can only think of one that you've built that we've ever had a problem with a catch basin being in the middle of the driveway. You do a really good job of avoiding it. There's other builders, they don't do a good job with it, Dan. And it is.
Well, your problem is when you got a neighborhood where the developer builds all the houses, there's a symbiosis where you're looking at. When you have a development where 8 builders are coming in, or like when we did the Parade of Homes, I had to watch all those guys like a hawk. And so, you know, not to pick on timber banks, but you got a lot of builders over there now, and you got to just watch a little more closely because Joe can't watch everything.
Right.
No,
Well,
and
that's
this is
where this should help that.
This should help that.
You know,
It is.
Joe
And
doesn't
I know
have to
you don't
watch.
like
We're
nobody
doing
likes change.
Our job.
Nobody likes change. And
Okay.
we gotta get
And,
it under control.
okay, thank you, Mr. Barnum.
Do we address all your concerns right now? I just want to make
Oh,
sure.
I got all this.
So, do we want to entertain?
30, 60 days?
So you're talking about passing it and delaying enforcement, or 30 to 60 days before you pass it?
No, we'll
No.
pass it and then in
Pass it
60
with
days,
a start date
a start date of May 4th or June 4th or whatever they want to do. That way you get a little, that way if you got something that you're already working on in the design process with a customer, it's not gonna.
So the surveyor, you're right, the surveyor's gonna have no problem taking the site grading plan and putting it on the plot plan that he shows you with the building permit application. But the surveyor has no idea where the water box is gonna be or where the sewer vent and the sewer trap are gonna be.
Actually, because he should be getting an as-built drawing before you're getting building permits.
No, I'm talking about when we bring a sewer into a house, it's not always a direct line.
Oh, I got that, yeah, I got that, but
So where the vent and the clean out are.
where the vent and the clean out are is at the right-of-way line. And that's established because that's already installed before we take dedication of
Well, I'm
the.
talking about when we bring it into the house, we can take measures to avoid the driveway.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, for sure. But this is just a way to, this isn't gonna hurt you, Dan. This is a way for us to solve some of the issues that we've been having. And I've been begging for this for years.
Yeah, just to speed this up, we can talk about that.
Let me just bring up one other point. This is a pet peeve. This has nothing to do with this topic. This has to do with enforcement of your code.
Well,
There's
I'll talk to you
there's
later.
nothing in your building code that says before you issue a building permit, you have to get the permission of the homeowners association to do so. I fill out an application, I pay a fee, and what I get is, well, Radisson hasn't approved your plan yet. I'm like, whoa, where's that in the building code?
You know what? The next work session, April 18th, you want to be here at 5:30?
Absolutely.
And we'll put you on. Well, but that's fine. This is a discussion event.
Yeah.
And it might give us reasons, other things we have to add. But as for the 30 or 60 day, I think that's what Councilor Kudarakis has asked. I mean, does the 45 day, 30 days give you?
Yeah.
Right.
It's enough of time for us to give our surveyors a heads up.
Okay.
Because when we order these things, we like to have a pretty quick turnaround. So Tim Porter is gonna want a heads up on this and some of the other surveyors.
So how does the board feel?
So you want to pass it tonight?
With an
Or
effective
vote
date?
on it tonight with an effective date?
Yeah.
How? Put a date on it,
May 6th?
May 6th.
It's a Monday, it's an easy way to start.
That work?
59 might have been better, 32.
There's a development. Always a little bit more.
May 6th?
May 6th, 2024. Is that okay, Councilor Kruger? Yeah. Okay, so we'll put a date on it, effective May 6th, 2024. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried, or none opposed, motion carried. Motion M. I'd like to get a motion to appoint Ashley Eppolito as summer aide in Parks and Rec at a rate of $15.50 per hour with a start date of April 8th, 2024.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion? Mr. Merrill, you're just hiring the people you need to take care of the park, okay? Any other discussions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, motion passed. Motion N, I'd like to get a motion to accept the resignation of Nancy Mott effective April 12th, 2024. Yeah, I know.
Right, I was gonna say, we don't move this?
I'm not moving it.
I will regretfully move that motion.
Okay. Councilor Moore moved it. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion. Nancy Mott, I'm gonna get choked up, and I've only been here 3 months. Nancy's tendered her resignation. She has been a huge part, an integral part of this town, and will be deeply missed. I know most people come and pay their taxes. She can tell you just about every person in the town of Lysander. So I regretfully take this motion to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All approved, unfortunately. I was hoping Councilor Kudarakis abstained approved. So 3 voted yes, 1 abstained, motion carried.
You know, I don't have to put this in the minutes.
That I cried?
No, that this
I don't cry often.
This motion
There's a lady out there that'll tell you
It's
that.
completely out.
So, okay, motion approved. Motion, this is the motion I had to add. I forgot to get it on the website, but we need, time is of the essence. Motion made, I'd like to get a motion to authorize the town supervisor to sign the intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Phoenix for building inspection services for a certain specific project.
I will move that.
Okay?
I'll second it.
Second. Discussion. We were contacted by the Village of Phoenix to assist them with a building inspection. They have what isn't, it could be perceived as a conflict of interest. He's reached out to other people within Oswego County, but they all have interactions with the building, so they reached out to us. We do this with the Village of Baldwinsville, we do it with the town of Van Buren. We're extending our services. Our codes officer has no relations with the people who need the building inspection. So this is a one-off deal at this time. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, motion carried. Don't see a need for an executive session this evening. I'd like to get a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:31.
I'll move it.
I will second it.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Have a good evening, everybody.